me get the introductions done. I'm Hazel Longuet, author of House of Scarabs, an urban mythology series, and today I'm interviewing Naomi E Lloyd. Naomi is the author of the amazing Tandro series, photographer, mum of two lovely boys, and a good friend of mine. So I'm so excited to interview you. Hi, Naomi.
Hello. How you doing?
Good, good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. I'm taking as long in it. I'm excited to be talking to somebody again. Not
I
lots of.
know, during this blooming coronavirus.
Yeah, we should have done Skype ages ago, shouldn't we? Why didn't we do it?
I don't know,
We're
but
here now. We're here now.
we're learning. We're learning. So, for those people who don't know you as well as I do, tell me a little bit about Naomi.
Oh gosh. Okay. So I was born in Yorkshire, in the north of England, but I live on the south coast in Portsmouth now. I got married to a lovely guy, got two teenage boys who have just finished their online homeschooling, like a lot of
God
kids.
bless you. God bless you.
Yeah, they've just finished that. And I've got a little puppy who's walking around who's absolutely gorgeous. I think it was her first birthday yesterday. And well, I'm a photographer as well as an author, so I'm very lucky that I'm kind of combining the two, and they very nicely complement each other in a lot of ways, which I know you're going to ask me about. So,
Well, I think a lot of us authors, certainly when we're getting started, need another kind of bow to our arrow financially, don't we? So I think
yeah.
photography probably really pigeons neatly in with writing.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, it really does. It's human relationships and capturing all those moments, and yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And
So,
that's a fodder for you for the next
oh,
day.
always, yeah, yeah.
And funny stories, no doubt, of over dramatic mother-in-laws.
Oh yeah, it's usually me. It's usually me that I probably I wish I could repeat the silly thing I said on a photo shoot yesterday. And luckily the client thought it was hilarious. But I do have a habit of just the inner voice isn't always silent, and yeah, it was a little bit it was a little bit inappropriate, but it was very funny, and yeah, I think we're friends now. I'm convinced of it.
Okay. So you've had quite a varied life in terms of you started off studying law.
Yeah.
I'm so impressed with. I could never have done that. And then worked in sales, then moved into photography, and
Yeah.
now as an author. So all these experiences, have they really helped you in writing and creating story worlds?
Oh, 100%. Absolutely. I mean, in studying law is brilliant for training your brain to remember lots of facts that you then can weave into a debate or an argument, and particularly exploring moral and philosophical debate, because that's always at the centre of the society's, understanding of what's right and wrong and where we want to go. So that's all, and I've really enjoyed that all the last few years writing again, because it's allowed that part of my brain to sort of think kickstart again, hopefully, which is
And
nice.
a lot of your stories have real moral kind of nuggets at the heart of them, don't they?
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's always fascinated me. In fact, my youngest child is just taking his options recently, and law isn't one of them for GCSEs in his school, but sociology was one. And I thought, oh, I would have taken that. I definitely would have taken that. Yeah, absolutely fascinated by things like that. And I think that's why I quite like the dystopian stories sometimes, because it's that concept of society and what is your moral compass, from starting there to the individuals that don't always agree with that. And yeah, so law by far. And even though it feels like a long time ago now, those experiences never leave you. And as I said, photography. I mean, it's a privilege really that people invite you into their homes or into the church or into their party or.
The best day of their life. Well,
Yeah, absolutely.
theoretically.
Yeah, it's difficult for people this year, but next year I'm sure there'll be lots of sparkling moments again, hopefully.
Maybe we ought to say, in case people are watching this in years to come, we are actually recording this bang in the middle of the coronavirus epidemic, where we've all been housebound and weddings have been cancelled.
Yeah.
Not good for a wedding photographer, I should imagine.
No, that's been really horrible to watch in that sense, because it is people's dreams, and I'm writing about dreams, and then the wedding dreams have to be completely changed in their mind and their heads, and well, what we can do. Yeah, so that hasn't been great, but it's But babies have been born and in this time, and I've had what's been lovely.
Probably a lot more will be after this time.
Well, that would be an interesting debate. That's definitely a story to come out there, isn't it? Yeah. But no, I've had lovely emails from previous wedding clients that have had their babies and would like me to come and capture those moments as well. So it's a real privilege, and you get to know people and you get to know their stories, and I think I'm quite a perceptive person, and so when I'm looking for moments all the time with my cameras and I'm talking to people, you just have all these thoughts going in your head, and I think that subliminally it's there when you're writing. It's in your subconscious that this is how people behave, and this is what drives them, and it's love story, isn't it?
Yeah.
Unbelievable love stories, yeah.
So tell me a little about the premise of the Tandro series. Your series, I should say, your series is called Tandro, of which you've got 3 books currently: Release, Reach, and Exchange, which is about to come out, isn't it?
Yes, next week, that's right, yeah. The premise, okay, so on one hand, the genre hand, it's very much a young adult, new adult, sci-fi fantasy, meets time travel romance. On the other hand, and I'd say on perhaps a deeper level, it's got quite a philosophical and spiritual element to it, and it's really. I often find that, actually, I don't know if you found this, Hazel, but the readers sometimes tell you what you didn't even realise you were trying to tell the
Well,
world.
you know me, I didn't have a clue. Well, I just wrote my book and then I went, genre? Do I need a genre?
This is coming from me. Why do I need a genre? Yeah,
It's my
exactly.
book.
Yeah, I'm not a genre person in life anyway. I think you're the same. I don't. I like lots of music and I like lots of different types of people, and I've always been that way. So that was confusing for both you and I, wasn't it? But yeah, from the in terms of the premise, from that sort of deeper philosophical side, it's really about the concept of the old question, what is love? And taking, on one hand, you've got the concept that, particularly in the Western world on Earth, that our real idea of love is that finding that perfect soulmate. But it's a physical idea of love, and it's a possessive idea of love. And on the other hand, you've got this pristine new world of Tandro, where the concept of love is completely different. It's all about individual and preserving your love to yourself and your own inner light and your own energy. You are an island. You don't let anybody else drain your island energy. That's how you stay strong. That's how you are immortal. That's how you can protect yourself. So it's a philosophical idea that this ruler has come up with to allow the people to be immortal. They treat them and think of themselves as islands. And so it's not a physical, there's no concept of intimacy or love is forbidden. It's about your individual love, but it's also empty and very lonely. And really, as the story goes, when the characters connect with each other from the two worlds, then it's the kind of a battle between which is the more powerful love, and who's got the right way of thinking about this. And ultimately, as I'm setting it out, the themes of the books as they go along, it's really, I guess, trying to marry those two ideas together, because we haven't got it completely right with our possessive monogamous love all the time.
And I love what you do about the kind of maintaining your own energy, because we all know kind of energy sucks. People who, I think you put them energy vampires.
Yeah. I'm really susceptible to them.
And there are people like that, and as you said, it's the middle ground, isn't it, between the two, that is almost the perfect thing, maintaining yourself whilst also giving and receiving love.
Yeah, and I think there's some been wonderful metaphysical famous stories. I mean, take the Celestine Prophecies. I remember 20 odd years ago somebody giving me that book, and it really resonated with me, the idea that people are trying to walk around the world, walk around in life as this sort of looking for their other half.
Yeah.
And that ultimately that you really need to be a whole looking for another whole, right? Yes. That's energized together, rather. And it's that idea that I don't think we all experience in a healthy way sometimes. I'm not just talking about romantic relationships. I really think it's about relationships in general.
Yes,
Right
absolutely.
there. I guess it resonated with me, the idea of exploring this, because I think I've always been quite susceptible to that sort of draining energy, and not really, because I'm yeah, I'm probably writing, maybe we are like that, I don't know, and I'm quite a social butterfly, but I can very quickly burn out, and I always thought I was an extrovert, and yet I've always really been quite drawn to an introvert type of job, whether I'm photographing a wedding and then all my energy gets burnt out, and I come back and I need to be in the office on my own again. It's just finding a way that you could just live a life that was so much more, um, peaceful
Yes.
and fluid. If we could have this sort of natural flow of energy between us, where we all just constantly, in a lovely way, energize each other rather than draining each other, wouldn't that be wonderful? But yeah, we'll see.
So that's Tandro.
That's Tandro, yeah,
And
yeah.
then within Tandro, you have the three stories. You start with Release,
Mm,
which is set in the 1860s in South Africa.
yeah.
How did you build that world? Because I mean, that's as you know, I write about ancient Egypt, and there's a lot written about ancient Egypt. There's history books all over the place, but I don't imagine that there's such a plethora of information about 1860 South Africa, particularly. So how
Yeah.
did you do that?
Um, Well, South Africa is somewhere I've always been drawn to. When I finished my degree, we'd done quite a lot of work on understanding post-apartheid South Africa, and it's just absolutely fascinated me. And I got this opportunity to go and do a research project over there, and I jumped at the chance. And I fell in love with the country. And I just had this real affinity with it, I suppose. And 3 years later, I went back there with my now husband, and he proposed to me, which was very clever of him, because he knew it was a special place to me. And we've since been taking the children back
I
there
didn't know
again.
that actually, that he proposed to you there.
Yes, he did. Yes, in a vineyard. Yes,
He's
yes.
a romantic.
Very romantic. Yes, yes. I'll be pleased I said that. I'll have scored a point there. But yes, why did I set it there? Well, because diamonds, I didn't mention that diamonds are a really important part of the Tandro world, because of the Tandroans, the people there, are made from the energy of diamonds. It's quite a complicated classic fantasy world building tonight, so I won't go into that. But diamonds are absolutely crucial to this world. The energy of diamond, the people are made from the energy of diamond. And because South Africa, diamonds are incredibly important historically with South Africa. And when I started having this dream of literally having these dreams about this world where people were made from diamonds, I thought, but there's got to be this initial connection, this first connection that this world of Tandro has with Earth. And where better on Earth would it be that when in 1860, well, it's the debate 1866, some would say 1867, so I'll cover myself there. That the first diamond, the Eureka diamond, was discovered on the banks of the Orange River by a 15-year-old boy called Erasmus Jacobs. He does actually make a little appearance in my book. So there's a bit of alternate history going on there. And I just thought, what a wonderful thing to bring into the story, because I know it's such a beautiful country, and that moment, it changed the course of their history. And because I love the country so much, I thought it would be wonderful to set that story, because it was a discovery. There was a discovery that happened at that time, and that's part of the rules for the time travel. That's one of the reasons I had to set up the rules for why this connection would happen, and it just made so much sense to me. And I could just imagine this beautiful Orange River in South Africa. And I did a lot of research. I've spoken to a lot of people, historians, and people that live out there, to try and make sure that it's authentic. So far, it seems it is.
That's one of the things, isn't it, about when you're building it. I mean, I haven't had to build an entire world because it's set here, but when you're building an entire world, that goes back to the sociology, and that you have to build rules for the world.
Yeah.
All society has to have rules of some kind or the other.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, for that kind of research, I watched a lot of YouTube, brilliant, isn't it? I watched a lot of videos on YouTube. Brandon Sanderson, obviously fantastic fantasy writer, and he does these fantastic, recordings of his lectures about world building in particular, and characterization. But for fantasy and sci-fi, it really helped me to understand that I needed to understand power, how many powers are you going to give them and what the rules of that society are and what's it going to look like and things like that. So yeah, there was, it was a complicated book. On one hand, I was trying to build this world in Tandro, and then, I think we've lost signal.
Have we? I can still see you and hear
Oh,
you.
can you still see me and hear me? Well, I'll carry on talking. I can't see anymore. I do apologise. Yeah, so yeah, the two together were interesting. A history on one side in South Africa and a new world on the other. But it was a lot of fun. I think it worked ultimately. It's a bit different.
Oh gosh, it definitely works. I loved it. So yes, the next thing I wanted to ask you, because in Release you have Johannes, who's a very kind of gentlemanly, lovely man from 1860 South Africa, really a kind of archetypal hero to some extent, romantic hero at the very least. And then the next book, you go into Reach, and you have Kieran, who is the darkest and kind of resoundingly dark person you could possibly meet. So were you, what was I going to say? Oh, which of these characters did you prefer writing more? The kind of really romantic, dashing Johannes, or the dark and kind of difficult Kieran?
It's really hard to choose, I'd say, because I really enjoyed writing Johannes. I mean, it's your perfect idea of, if that was your first love, well, I mean, well, he was a great guy, and I could imagine him thinking and going through all these complexities, and he's very sensitive and etc. But Kieran, I quite enjoyed writing it. I was surprised myself. I think he's he's like the epitome of all the bad relationship choices you could make.
Yes.
Like the worst guy, and like everybody else is going.
All your worst boyfriend put together, all their characters.
All of those, and if you've ever had even a little bit of it, you'd relate. And I know one of our other author friends, Kat Standing, can she? She talks about Kieran like he's a real guy. It makes me laugh. I know what you mean. But to write him and then get revenge on him was quite cathartic.
I'm writing about a phantom assassin at the moment, and there is something fun about writing the baddie character or the dark character. That although the romantic, you fall in love with all your characters, you're bound to, because you get to know them so well. But there is something fun about exploring the depths of depravity and kind of evilness. I think we don't get to do it in normal life, so it's good to put that on for a little while, I think.
Yeah, and you can go a bit silly with it as well. You can always go a bit. You make these people so fascinating. Yeah, I agree with you. It really surprised me, but definitely go there again. Write another one.
You'd spent so much time setting up this amazing 1860s South Africa story, and then suddenly in Reach you jumped forward to modern day, or just slightly, not quite modern day, but nearly modern day London. So were you not ever tempted to stay in this nice South African world that you'd created, or did you have an kind of overreaching storyline that you knew, no, I'm going in this direction?
I definitely didn't have this process where I went, right, I'm going to go from 1860 to here now. It was just totally, the story was driving me where it wanted to go. And I was really, in my head, it just had, this particular book had to be in London. And I know the South Bank really well, so it was quite a relief to actually be able to write. I could go to London and sit in a cafe and I could be there. And that was really nice. And because I think the character of Erin, which you meet an awful lot in book 2, but she's the main character in book 2 and 3 and from going on, I very much relate to Erin, and she's definitely a lot of me in her there. And so it felt right that she was in the modern day time and in London. But there's always looking, the characters are all very intertwined, and that's what's great about time travel, because it doesn't matter that I've got my puppy in the background there, yeah, having a little shake. Yeah, I like it, and the concept of a descendant from so many years ago that you were not aware of having such an impact on your life now. That's always fascinated me. I like the idea of looking back in all the years later, and that person hadn't got together 5 generations before, and I wouldn't be here. And it's the same. It's the same with those kind of storylines. But it worked for
The
me.
characters in Release of Johannes and
He,
Teagle. I always have to think how to say it. It's shocking.
no,
Johannes
no, I've made it up.
of Johannes and Teagle are actually the great goodness knows how many times grandparents of Erin, aren't they?
5 times removed grandparents, yeah. But of course, she at the time, like most teenagers, doesn't know that about that story. That all comes to light later. But then what's lovely about it is that because of time travel, you can have these people. I won't go too much of it. From particularly where you've got time travel and meeting crossing worlds, that they can interact and influence each other and help.
I
Or
don't think we said Tandro is set in the future, isn't it? And
Tandro is an alternative world in the future. Not so far away. It's 2065 to 2070 in an alternative world. And yes, we're moving around in Earth according to the characters. I'm making it sound really complicated. I don't think it is.
No, you're not. It has a time travel element of the Tandroans coming to Earth.
Yeah.
So I've had the honour of reading Exchange, which I love. I've loved all your books, but Exchange just squeaks in there as my favourite. It's such a good story. I absolutely love it. And you go back again to Erin's story, but whereas Erin is a teenager in Reach and going through some of the manipulations, I think it's fair to say, in Exchange, she's now an adult and
22, yeah.
Yeah. And I just love that. Do you want to give us an overview of Exchange?
Yeah, I apologise for the whining in the background. It's Coco, sorry. I just decided to wake up. Yes, Exchange. So, without trying to give too much away, you sort of revisit, or you catch up with Erin a few years later when she's 22.
Oh, bless her
I
heart.
know, yeah. She's probably hungry. I keep trying to feed her. Yeah, you catch up with Erin in the year 2022, and she's been through the most horrendous tragedy when she was younger, and so where she is now is a young woman who's just completely focused on looking forward and never looking back. She doesn't want to face her demons, but her dream, because she's got this Tandro inside of her that she doesn't really realise she has, this ability to predict her future in her dreams. And they keep warning her of danger ahead, and that somebody from Tandro is trying to reconnect with her, because they know that she's the most powerful descendant that's ever been since Teagle all those years ago. And then there's a certain baddie from Tandro that manages to reconnect with Earth, and the whole thing starts again then. But in some ways, much more peril brought into it, because basically it's the fate of the two worlds are now at risk, because Tandro needs some energy from the humans. They're running out of energy from the diamonds, and they're realizing actually the human emotional energy is quite powerful, but we don't want it because we think it's dangerous and it drains us. But we don't want to use it ourselves. We want to get some of this emotional energy from the humans, and there's one who's Erin, we know, has got an abundance of it. So it's a big, impossible, manipulative, emotional scenario is put in front of Erin, and she kind of literally has there's no choice about it. She has to go ahead and take part in this bizarre sort of exchange day.
And you really test the poor girl. And my heart throughout. She goes on a journey and a half.
She does go on a journey and a half, and she's put through so many different manipulative scenarios and doesn't know whether she's looking left or right. And at the same time, there's this huge love story going on that she wasn't prepared for, that just completely knocks her off her feet and confuses her even more. And that was complicated to write, but really exciting as well. And I did enjoy writing that. Yeah, I'm glad
There's so many twists and turns, aren't there, in the stories?
Well, there are, and I didn't know there was a twist right at the end that I hadn't actually prepared for, and it blindsided me. I didn't expect it, but it felt right once I put it down onto paper. So yeah.
I'm going to ask you this question, but I'm pretty certain I know which one you're going to say. Which of the 3 books do you think was the hardest to write?
I think it was probably Release, because
Really, I got it wrong then.
well, Yes, I would overall. Yeah, I would say because of the world building and the setting of the scene with say exchange, you can go. You know, all of the things have been set up, so you can really go for it. And the fact that I'm having to do a load of research into diamonds and into how to set up world building in a fantasy scenario, and also understand the history and be authentic to South Africa in HP. It was just a lot, and I look back on it, and it was just all the nerves of the first book. I think it's the first book thing. It's not just a storyline. And as you know, I ended up in hospital in the middle of it, in an emergency procedure, and so that just kind of knocked me as well. So I look back on that one as being a bit of a trial. If I think about it, yeah.
The first book, we're learning so much, aren't we? And there's so much anxiety, and is this good? Am I deceiving myself that I've got something interesting here? Do I have the skills to write it properly? All of those things.
All those feelings, and particularly, and I was really worried about South Africans reading it and thinking, who are you to write about this? And I remember just dancing around the kitchen when I got an email from a very respected historian in South Africa who'd read the book, and she said, and that is Coco, by the way. That is just like, the dog is a dog. Um, and she just said it was brilliant, and I was on to a winner, and I was just like, oh, thank goodness, yeah, just hearing that I've got that right was a real relief for me, a release and a release, yeah.
Maybe that could be the title of the next book.
Relief, yeah, could be, yeah, never R word, yeah.
So what else was I going to ask you? We've talked a lot about genre hopping, and that we didn't really understand our genres, and we are kind of multifaceted people, so we like
Yeah.
lots of genres. But you've kind of found your genre home more now, haven't you? So how have you?
I think so, yeah. How would I describe the genre now?
Really, you and I both suffered a lot for a year or more, didn't we, trying to understand what does genre mean? Because for the people who are watching who don't understand, Amazon is driven by genre. They catalogue everything by genre, and unless you can neatly fit into one, then you aren't properly catalogued in Amazon, which can really impact people finding you or purchasing you. And we both suffered a lot, didn't we, with that?
Yeah, I think even like you say, you discoverability, and it's easy if you're definitely in one or two primary genre. And I think maybe because we love our books so much, we wanted to be in all of them that they fit
I
into.
think as well, in the old days, there wasn't. This is very much a modern phenomenon of having algorithms and computers doing all the cataloguing of everything. In the old days, there were so many books that were multi-genre, that covered many genres, and most of my favourite ones, to be honest, are multi-genre. So,
Yeah.
so we wrote those, but they're not so easy to sell in them or for people to find in the modern.
Not until you kind of need to make a decision, don't you? And I think I didn't make it easy for myself because I had an 18-year-old, and then one that's nearly 16, and then one that's 22. And I mean, they're not so far apart, but I think it was stopping me from perhaps
In terms of the age of your
to
characters.
my characters. Sorry, yeah, the main characters. Yeah, in the main female characters, and to me that made perfect sense. Like you said, it's a multi-generational coming, and but then it was being prepared to sort of say, yes, there's a time travel romance, but then that can't be just the only category, because if you think of time travel romance, for example, then you think of Outlander, and the characters are often a bit older, and they're often set in Scotland or places like that. Are you going to see the doggy? Yeah. Sorry about that. And so yeah, so now I would say I'm very, very happy, and I'm definitely getting a lovely response now, where I've decided to make a decision, because I'm not always decisive like this, and I categorise as a young adult sci-fi fantasy in the sci-fi dystopian fantasy. And in the young adult, what's great about in the young adult category, I think there's a lot more leniency to have more of a. If you think about a lot of the books that I think are fantastic, even Twilight or Hunger Games, they do cross a lot of genres, not quite pigeonholed. Maybe that's what we're like as young adults, a bit more and more allowing that we don't want to be pigeonholed quite as much. But then I read young adult books and I love them. probably for the reason, actually. I think that's why I like them.
I don't know if readers would know this, but the majority of readers of young adult are actually 45 years plus.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I always think it's classified as young adult, yet it's read by people who can't really be classified as young adults.
Yeah. But it does make me wonder if it's because they're more multi-genre, and there's more freedom in there. I wonder if that's why. I mean, there are definite tropes, there's no doubt about it, and some people would only want this dystopian with nothing else in it. But I still think I categorise mine under metaphysical and visionary because it definitely fits under that genre. And that's great because I can explore different themes there and the spirituality and everything else. And the coming of age is such a huge emotional experience that you start mixing tyrannical leaders and other worlds and time travel, and it's brilliant. And fantasy, do it all.
It's a much more interesting read, I think. I think Amazon's got it wrong.
Yeah. There is a category called mashup fiction, isn't there? There is one of those.
Yeah, there is. I think that's where we actually fit to be.
Yeah, we're a mashup.
I've often been called a mashup.
Yeah, me too, definitely.
So you said earlier about diamonds playing such a strong part in the Tandro philosophy. I've always been fascinated. You have a whole diamond philosophy that you talk about, or at least you talk about to us. Do you want to share that with people?
Yeah, sure. I mean, when I started writing the Tandro series, I just felt this real pull to start really researching into diamonds as well, and it was almost accidental that as I kind of ended up being taken on my own personal journey in the research as I was writing, and within that it was a bit like this weird energy that was sort of sending me and opening doors in different places. I talk about opening doors a lot in the book. And where I decided I really wanted to I started thinking very much about when I was learning about diamonds, about how there's a real parallelism, if I can say that word, between people and diamonds. And at first that might sound a bit strange, but it's the journey of strength and resilience and pressure, fellow carbon, star creation. And this is me talking about it at a very surface level, but then when you start looking into the science of diamonds and the way their energy reactions, the way some diamonds glow and when they're given a certain energy, which is a different energy source, in the same way that humans often react differently when they're exposed to different forms of energy, and obviously love being the case. There was lots of different parallels, and the more and more, and it wasn't coming completely from my head. I was doing interviewing gemologists and jewelry designers, diamond polishers in Amsterdam, in Antwerp. I was very, very lucky to meet some incredible people. Quite intimidating sometimes. How did I get into this head office here? And it was just so this is a book that it's taken. I'm letting it flow alongside because it needs to come out when it's ready. Because I've now realised that this is actually it's kind of like a personal journey, spiritual journey. I think I'm on at the moment, and I'm happy to say that when I finished book 3, Exchange, the one that's coming out next week, and I've told you this, and I know you relate to it. I did have a little cry because I realised finally what I was facing my own demons in my teenage life and family experiences, and it was incredibly healing to go through that.
And we write out some of our pains, and it's like free psychological treatment, isn't it? Writing, sometimes you actually write out your own problems.
You do. I did. I felt like this incredible sense of relief, and the first review that I got back from one of my advanced readers. Again, I thought, wow. Rather than saying, wow, sci-fi fantasy, even though all of that's there, the review came back with, wow, this book is about letting go of the past and not letting your emotions control you. And
you have told me that so many times that was kind of what you were thinking, and that someone picked up on that. It's just brilliant.
Yeah. Well, the second review said very much a similar thing, and like I said, the twist at the end of the story. Erin was this other character, this avatar that we have, and it's obviously us deep down that's coming out, was driving me, and it was just so cathartic. And actually, I don't know if I've told you this before, that during my research, one of the amazing people I met was another, well, she's a very famous author, Kathy Lett.
Oh yes, yes.
And she writes fantastic books. And I know that I don't think she mind me saying this, but I think her sort of her author tagline is I think it's I write because writing's cheaper than therapy. And she's so true. It's so true. Yeah, and you know, I can't believe that anything could be more therapeutic than this. It's been hard, many hours, and it's been expensive to create and all this. But the journey that this has been taking me on has definitely helped me personally. Yeah. So, you know, if there's anybody who reads it, and I can't believe I'm the only person who's come from a family that felt perfect and was later broken up by divorce and things like that, even as an adult later on, it can take years to come to terms with those things. And even, like I said, even though this is a huge sci-fi fantasy world building story, the themes underneath it all are very relatable in so many people's life, I hope. It certainly was for me.
So. Absolutely. So if we go back into Tandro, the Tandroans focus their energy via a necklace. Yes, Dorado. Do you want to tell us about it? Yeah. How did you end up having an actual Dorado?
Oh, the man that walked past there, my husband, ended up buying it for me. That was, yeah, it was a special birthday, yeah. No, okay, so this is a Dorado, and you'll see it on the book cover, so I'll show you. You can see it now. This is Release book cover. You see?
Oh, lovely.
Wearing that there. This is her energy release coming out that transports her across time and space to her soulmate in South Africa. The Dorado is in Tandro. There's a release day every year in Tandro. When you get to 18, it's a coming of age ceremony, and where you receive your personal Dorado, which is basically your amulet, your energy control center. This is where it contains your inner energy and your light and your fire, which you must protect. And it allows you to exchange. It's like a color energy release. So mine's pink. It's pinky purple because that's a color that I relate to. It's quite an emotional color. I have a little color energy quiz on my website. So I think it's green. Are you?
Yes.
Yeah, you're green. Yeah, I would. Yeah, you are green. So when they can exchange energies from their diamond, it's an energy color release, and it allows them to stay strong and to not be drained by the people's energy, and keep them in that individual state. But in the book one release, when Tiga receives her Dorado, which looks very much like this one because it's a pink one, she has a special emotional energy that's very, very powerful. When she releases her energy, it takes her on this incredible journey across time and space. And then the Dorado is obviously the big connection that keeps popping up because we can't get rid of them.
So how did you have it designed?
Yeah. So sorry. Yeah. When I went to South Africa to do on a holiday, and I thought I'll combine this with research in Cape Town, I looked up one of the big jewelry designers there, and I didn't for a minute think that they would call Uzaketa. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. I apologise. I'm not. And they're based right in the heart of Cape Town, and beautiful design. And I was just drawn to it, and I didn't think for a minute that they would respond to me, but I just spent a little excerpt of the early excerpt of the book, and the lead designer is designed for Nelson Mandela and the Queen and Kate Moss and Nicolas Cage. Is an amazing, incredible designer, and there's something about the storyline. He told me since that drew him to it, and he wrote back and said, "Yeah, I'd love to design something for you." I think it was crazy, really. I was going ahead of myself, but I just felt like if I could picture the Dorado in my head, I'd understand what was going on a lot more. So I went over there, and on the plane ride over to Cape Town, it was overnight. I woke up about 3 a.m, and I thought, I better start thinking what I want to say when I get there. So I just sketched this design, which was like this sort of eye with a diamond pendant, and with this sort of real collared look here. and had it in my little pad, walked into this beautiful jewellery showroom that they have in Cape Town, and met this lovely, lovely man who's called Johan. So I did actually give him Johan's name after him later on in the story. And it was a weird feeling because we got on immediately, and he said to me, he got up early that morning and decided to just do a bit of a sketch based on the little story excerpt that I'd sent him. And he pulled out the exact same design that I did. Yeah, identical. And honest truth, we are really, really good friends now. And we've since been over there to stay with the family, with his lovely, lovely wife, who's called Anna-Rita. I gave her a character name as well in the book. And yeah, and it took a long, long time for them to design it, and because it's a really unusual piece, because it's made out of niobium, which is not an expensive metal. It's just that Johan wanted, because of the idea of colour energy, he really liked the idea of experimenting. So he took it to the University of Stellenbosch, this niobium, and when you put this metal in water and you charge it with electric current, it changes colour. But it depends how much current you give it, depending on the colour that it will come out as. So you can see that's the colour that I got there, and it's coming out throughout. Yeah. So yeah. So it just keeps me in the mind of what's going on with Tandro and all the characters. Yeah.
And it's amazing that you have your own one. You have the story, and you have your series, and then you have your own Dorado as well.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think it'd be lovely if the people ever wanted to do art. I think Johan loves it as well. So yeah, that's just part of the journey.
So, in terms of helping people understand what Tandro is like, or to understand the kind of story it's like, what other well-known books or films would you say it's comparable to, or has a similar feeling to?
I think some of the really classic YA dystopian romances, it really has a link there, because you've got this where society is determining whether you can love or who you can love. So you take ones like Delirium by Lauren Oliver and Ali Condi's Match series. They're brilliant books, and I think. Yeah, I think there's one called Configured as well by Janetta Penner. These are they're very comparable there. Then the Hunger Games, you've got that tyrannical leader. There's in Tandro, in order to, I won't go into too much detail, but they have a big match called the Jar Match, which is an annual match between the Tandroan to determine their superiority and who gets to pass on the elements of their carbon for the next generation. So there's those tropes in there. Definitely, it's Hunger Games. A lot of people have said it reminds them of the Hunger Games with the but I'd say the sort of spiritual fantasy really is quite like Avatar.
Yeah, I think Avatar.
Yeah, definitely, and the sort of caught between different worlds, even in that scenario. And my all-time favourite book, which is a time travel romance, is The Time Traveller's Wife. I think the way the time travel happened, and the love story. Just when you're getting close together, you get taken away, and then there's all the other complications with it. It's quite similar. Other people have pointed that out as well. I was quite influenced by The Time Traveller's Wife. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see those ones. So now we're going to do a quick fire round. So I'll just fire questions at you, and you have to answer quickly. So, who would you choose as a partner of your characters? Johannes from Release, Kieran from Reach, or Jovel from Exchange?
Jovel from Exchange.
Why?
He's like Jason Momoa in my head, but with a bit of Bon Jovi rock star in there.
Okay, yeah, I get it then.
Yeah, no, I just like his character. Yeah, I like Johanna too, but probably Jovel. Yeah.
I think I would go Jovel.
Yeah.
So, would you prefer to be born in Tandro with all the powers, or born on Earth as a mortal?
I still prefer, believe it or not, even despite the crazy world that we're living in, I probably still prefer Earth, because I mean, look, hasn't this scenario that we're all in now shown us how important connection is, and when it's taken away, how it is? In fact, a couple of people did email me to say how much the themes of the book have resonated with them during this time, because you've been connection and intimacy has been taken away to a certain extent. So yeah, and I don't like being told what to do too much. So I wouldn't like to live in a tyrannical leader's world. No.
And without love, there's nothing.
No, we need love, don't we? No.
Okay, so which of these genres would you choose to read if you could only read one? Fantasy, dystopian, time travel romance, or sci-fi, and why?
I think because of my love of sociology and things like that, I probably overall would pick dystopian because I think it really explores a lot of the interesting themes. So probably, of all of them, I'd probably guess that one. Yeah.
Which is your favourite character in your books? That's a hard one because they're all babies, aren't they?
Yeah, probably. I feel like Erin probably. Oh, but with Teagle and Erin together. Yeah, got to be those two girls. Yeah, they're lovely. I like
And
those.
which of the characters did you most enjoy writing?
In terms of enjoying, I actually really enjoy writing Parador, who's the female baddie from Tandro. Yeah, just because she's naughty, but she's actually really, she's just naughty, isn't she? And she can't help it. But actually, you can, when I'm writing her, I know that I'm going to enjoy carrying on her story because there's a lot of jealousy underneath it all there with what's going on.
I understood when actors said that they liked playing baddies. I didn't really understand it, but now that I write, I really get it. It is releasing to do that.
Yeah, you can just bring out your sort of your sort of selfish naughty side sometimes that you can actually verbalise. So let's put it in her. Yeah.
All the things you would love to do but can't.
Yeah, exactly.
Which of I think we've answered this one actually. Which is the hardest of your books to write and why? I think we did answer that.
Yeah, really, because it was the first one. Yeah.
So, which of your books is your favourite and why?
Exchange, the one that's yes, because of how it made me feel, I think, and the impact it's already had on me as a person. It might sound really over the top, but it really did. It really blew me away, and I thought, well, even if nobody reads it, it helped me. So that has to be cheaper than therapy, doesn't it?
Definitely. Okay, complete the sentence. Being an author is. I threw that in. You didn't know I was going to ask you.
Cathartic. There you go. It is cathartic. Yeah.
I would have said cathartic. So what's next for you? More Tandro, or have you a new series, or what's next in the Naomi E Lloyd pipeline?
I'm currently writing it's a dystopian a dark fantasy dystopian. I'm not going on loads of genres. It is very clear. Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, and it's really different, and I'm enjoying it. So I am writing that, but at the same time, I'm always writing my non-fiction sort of memoir, spiritual journey of the philosophy of diamonds and how this can kind of help, I think, and how writing can help your own journey. And for me, it was diamonds. It could be something for somebody else. It could be Egypt for you, for example.
Mythological gods. Yeah. Scarab-headed gods.
Absolutely, yeah.
So you can get Release and Reach on Amazon now, and they're both in Kindle Unlimited.
They're both in Kindle Unlimited. That's right. Yes.
So if people have subscribed to the Kindle Unlimited package, they can read them for free.
Absolutely, yeah. So I said Release, book 1, and Reach, book 2, and this one is my proof copy. So you do have the little bit opposite there, but this is coming out next week. Is Exchange, book 3, and that's also going to be in Kindle Unlimited as well.
Excellent. So when did you say Exchange goes live? Next week?
Friday the 10th of July. It's on pre-order now though, you can pre-order it now, but it will go live next Friday the 10th of July. Yeah.
Finally, I hate to say goodbye. No doubt we'll talk again by the end of this video anyway, but where can we find Naomi E Lloyd?
Oh, I did write this down, I have to remember myself. So my website address is www.naomieloyd.com, all one word. And find me on Facebook, it's Naomi E Lloyd Author. And yes, Instagram is just Naomi E Lloyd.
So I'll put at the end of the video, oh, I seem to have vanished on here. At the end of the video, I will put the details on a screen so people can see.
Excellent.
So thank you ever so much for doing my first interview.
My first interview, wonderful. Sorry about the doggy noises in the back.
I think she added. I think she added a certain comic value to the video.
I knew it would happen. I knew it would happen. Yeah.
Good luck on the launch. I can't wait to see it. And it's, as I said, I just love. Well, I love all your books. You know that I'm a big, huge Naomi E Lloyd fan, but I really love it.
Likewise, love Hazel Longuet.
Okay, darling. Well, take care,
Thank
and
you.
nice to interview you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.